Long ago in the far corners of the galaxy there were whispers about a terror that no one had ever seen but all had learned to fear. They called it the Red Dragon. Some said it was a beast born from fire and stone. Others claimed it was the last creation of humankind, a weapon so powerful that even the greatest alien empires never dared to speak its true name. In the dark halls of alien war councils, the leaders would lower their voices when the legend was mentioned, because in every story the Red Dragon was not simply a creature, it was destruction itself. Yet nobody knew if it was still real or if it had died with the fall of old Earth. Centuries had passed since the last time humans were seen among the stars. Many alien empires believed humanity was extinct, erased from history after the Great Wars, their cities turned to ash, their fleets broken, their colonies burned. But the fear of humanity never vanished, because every empire remembered how humans fought, not with numbers, not with stronger bodies, but with something more dangerous, an endless will to survive, and in that will they had forged something that could end worlds. It was said the Red Dragon was hidden deep under Earth itself, locked away when the final battles ended. Some believed it was sealed beneath the oceans, others thought it was buried under mountains of iron, but all agreed on one thing. If the Red Dragon ever woke again the galaxy would tremble. In the cold silence of space the legend became nothing more than a story to frighten young warriors, yet in secret the oldest empires still watched Earth from afar, never daring to step too close, because no one truly knew if the dragon still slept. And now a time had come when whispers grew strong again. For the first time in centuries strange signals began to rise from Earth, deep pulses of energy that echoed through space like a heartbeat. The alien empires argued among themselves. Some said it was only the ruins of old machines. Others said it was the sign that humans had returned, but in every council chamber the same question was spoken in fear. What if the dragon was not a beast? What if it was still alive? What if humanity had never been destroyed at all but had only gone silent waiting for the right moment to rise again? Among the stars there was one empire more ambitious than all the rest, the Kal Empire. They were proud conquerors who believed humans had been weak and careless. They thought the Red Dragon was only a myth, so they planned to march on Earth and claim it for themselves. Their generals laughed at the idea of a hidden weapon. They said the only dragons in the galaxy were their own warships. But even they could not deny the unease that crept into their hearts when they saw the deep red glow on their scanners. Something under the oceans of Earth was stirring. Some of their scouts who flew too close never returned. Their ships vanished into static. The Empire told the people it was nothing, but the commanders knew the truth. Something was moving under the blue planet, and it was not dead. In the hidden corners of the galaxy, other races began to fear once more. They remembered the stories, they remembered the wars, they remembered that humanity never gave up until the very last breath. And if the Red Dragon was truly theirs, then the galaxy would soon learn what it meant to face the final weapon of mankind. In this growing storm of whispers and fear, one thing became clear. The legend was no longer only a legend. The Red Dragon was real, and it was waiting. And as the alien fleets prepared for invasion, none of them understood the true horror. The Red Dragon was not simply a monster of fire, it was something far worse. It was humanity's final promise to the stars, that if ever threatened again they would unleash a weapon beyond imagination. And now, after centuries of silence, the promise was waking. Centuries before the silence of Earth there was a war that shook the galaxy, a war that burned entire systems and drowned countless worlds in fire. Humanity was not the strongest race, not the fastest, not even the oldest, but when the great alien empires rose against them they refused to kneel. They fought with everything they had. Their fleets were small compared to the endless armadas of the enemy. Their colonies were fragile against the war machines of the invaders. Yet humanity held the line again and again, because humans had something the others never understood, a hunger to survive and a mind that never stopped creating. The empires thought they could crush Earth in a single strike. They believed humans would beg for mercy, but instead humanity became more dangerous with every loss. For each city burned they built 100 weapons, for each colony destroyed they raised new armies. And in the darkest hour of the war their scientists came together in secret. They began a project that no one outside humanity ever discovered. It was called Project Dragon, and its purpose was simple: to create a weapon that could face entire fleets alone. The scientists knew they could not outnumber the enemy, so they decided to outmatch them in fear, in destruction, in power beyond imagination. And so the Red Dragon was born, not of flesh and blood but of fire and steel. It was not an animal, it was a machine grown like a living being. Its wings were forged from plasma fields, its body built from the hardest alloys known, its heart a core of burning fusion. Yet it was not only a weapon, it was intelligent. guided by an ancient human mind placed into its systems, a commander who had sworn never to let humanity fall. When the dragon first rose, the sky turned crimson. Alien fleets that had surrounded Earth were ripped apart in hours, entire armadas shattered under its fire. The red dragon could burn oceans and cut through the vacuum of space like a storm. It did not fight like a ship or a beast, it fought like something greater. The enemy soon learned to fear its roar, for when the dragon appeared no empire could stand against it. But such power came with a cost. Every time it fought, the energy it released tore open the planet it protected, and humanity knew that if the dragon was used too often it could destroy Earth itself, so the leaders made a choice. They would unleash the dragon only when there was no other hope. They used it in battles that seemed impossible, when their fleets were broken and their armies scattered, and each time the dragon turned defeat into survival, the empires grew desperate. They called humans demons, monsters wearing fragile skins. They swore to wipe out every last trace of mankind before the dragon could destroy them all. And so they gathered the greatest armadas the galaxy had ever seen, a coalition of alien powers united by fear. They came in the billions. Entire galaxies seemed to march on Earth. Humanity stood at the edge of extinction, but they did not surrender. They fought with all that remained. War raged across the stars, worlds became ashes, space itself seemed to bleed, yet humanity endured, and with every loss they turned back to the dragon, until the final battle came. The coalition fleets descended upon Earth, their weapons prepared to erase the planet forever. The dragon was awakened one last time, its roar echoed through the void. Its fire tore across the armadas, alien ships fell in burning waves, but humanity knew they could not survive another war like this. The cost was too high, too many lives gone, too many worlds destroyed, so when the last enemy fleet was broken, the leaders of Earth made a fateful choice. They sealed the dragon deep within the planet. They placed it under the oceans where no one could reach, and they sent out one last command. Humanity would fall silent, they would vanish from the stars, hide their colonies, scatter across hidden systems, until the galaxy believed they were gone, for the dragon was too dangerous to be left awake. It was not only a weapon of war, it was the last hope of a race, a promise that if ever humanity faced extinction again, the dragon would rise. The empires celebrated. They thought humanity was finished, that the silence of Earth meant their enemy was gone forever. But in truth it was only the beginning. Humanity had chosen patience. They had chosen to wait, and the dragon was sleeping, dreaming in fire and darkness, until the day would come when it was called again. The galaxy moved on after the silence of Earth. New empires rose, old ones fell, and many believed humanity was nothing more than a story told to young warriors. Yet in secret fear never died. Every empire kept a watchful eye on the blue planet, and when strange signals began to rise again, the fear returned. It was not the sound of voices or ships, but a deep rhythm like a heartbeat, slow and powerful, felt even across the void of space. The first to notice were the scouts of the Call Empire. They had long dreamed of conquering Earth to prove their strength. Their fleets were large and their pride greater than their wisdom. When the signals reached them, their leaders laughed. They said it was only the old ruins of human machines breaking down after centuries. But the generals were not so sure. They sent small ships to orbit Earth, and what they saw troubled them. The planet was quiet, cities lay in ruins, nature had claimed much of the land. There were no great armies, no rising fleets, no signs of life, but deep under the oceans there was movement. Their sensors showed vast energy hidden in the dark waters, something alive yet not alive, something burning with a red light. The scouts argued whether to go closer. Some said it was dangerous, others mocked the old legends. They called the red dragon a myth. But their curiosity was stronger than their caution, so they descended into low orbit, closer to the seas. And that was the last message anyone received from them. Their ships vanished, no wreckage, no signals, only static filled the channels. The Empire tried to hide this loss, but whispers spread quickly. The dragon was waking. Many rulers of alien worlds dismissed it. They claimed it was only human traps left behind, but in their hearts they felt the same fear, because the energy growing beneath Earth was unlike anything recorded before, a power that pulsed stronger with every day. Like a giant breathing in its sleep, the Call Empire sent more scouts. This time larger ships, and they saw the waters boiling. They saw the oceans glow faintly red as if fire lived beneath them. Their instruments shook with readings they could not explain. The commanders argued about what to do. Some said retreat. Others demanded proof that the dragon was real. But before they could act, the seas split open, the planet roared, and something vast began to rise from the depths. Waves taller than mountains crashed against the coasts. Clouds of steam filled the skies. And a shape emerged, not clear but massive, glowing like molten metal. The scouts froze in terror. One of them whispered across the channel, "It's not a beast, it's something else." Then the signal cut. Across the stars other races began to listen. They picked up fragments of the transmissions, broken voices, shouts, then silence, and in every heart old fear returned. What if humanity was not gone? What if the dragon was only sleeping? The Call Empire tried to contain the panic. They told their people it was a natural disaster, but the soldiers who had seen the oceans glow knew the truth. They spoke of a shadow with wings spreading beneath the water, of an eye that burned brighter than suns, and of a roar that made space itself tremble. In the deep council chambers of other empires leaders argued. Some demanded fleets be prepared. Others warned that if the dragon truly awoke no number of ships would be enough. They remembered the old wars. They remembered how a single dragon had turned the tide, and they feared what might happen now. Because if it was waking then humanity might return with it. No one wanted to face mankind again. For even extinct they still haunted the galaxy. In silence the planet of Earth pulsed like a heart, every beat stronger than the last. The aliens could no longer laugh. They could no longer dismiss the legend. They had seen the first signs with their own eyes. The red dragon was real, and it was stirring in its sleep. The oceans shook as the shadow grew larger. The surface split apart and boiling waves rose higher than mountains. Lightning tore across the skies as if the planet itself screamed, and from the depths something vast began to rise. The scouts who had dared to stay watched in terror as a colossal shape emerged. Not a creature of flesh but a living weapon. Scales of burning metal glowed red like molten rock. Wings unfolded that stretched wider than cities. Wings not of feathers but of plasma. Burning like the heart of a star, the red dragon was awake. Its roar thundered across the seas. A sound so deep it made ships crack and instruments fail. It was not a natural roar but the echo of a core of living fusion. Every alien who heard it felt fear crawl through their bones. Because this was not the voice of an animal, it was the voice of war. The dragon lifted its head, its eyes blazed like twin suns, and with one movement of its wings the storm itself bent. Ships in orbit shook violently, some torn apart simply by the force of the energy it released. The scouts tried to retreat but their engines died as if the dragon's presence itself drained their power, and in the chaos a voice spoke, not through sound but through every channel at once, calm, commanding, old yet sharp, for humanity. I rise again. The aliens froze. It was no beast speaking, it was an intelligence, a human mind buried inside the weapon. An ancient commander who had waited for centuries. His consciousness fused with the dragon, guiding it like both pilot and soul. The Call Empire panicked. They sent urgent signals back to their leaders, warning them to retreat. But pride blinded their rulers. They ordered the fleet in orbit to fire. Massive cannons lit the skies. Beams of plasma and storms of missiles rained down. But the dragon moved with a speed that defied its size. Wings of burning plasma spread wide, bending the attacks. Fire from its mouth, unleashed in a torrent of pure fusion. One blast tore through half the fleet. Ships vaporized in an instant. Others melted into falling wreckage. The aliens screamed in disbelief. Their strongest weapons barely scratched its armor. The dragon's tail lashed once and destroyed an entire formation. Its wings sliced through cruisers as if they were paper. Panic spread across the galaxy as transmissions of the battle reached other empires. They saw fleets falling like dry leaves before a storm. They saw the shape of the dragon standing over the oceans of Earth. Every legend proved true before their eyes, and they realized this was no myth. This was the weapon humanity had promised would rise again. As the battle raged, the AI commander spoke again, his voice cold and unshaken. Humanity sleeps no more. You have come to our home, and for that you will face judgment. The Call ships tried to escape, but the dragon leapt into the sky, higher and higher, until it broke into space. Its wings burned brighter than suns, propelling it faster than light itself. No fleet could outrun it. No defense could hold. In minutes the invaders were gone, their armada shredded, their glory turned to ash. Silence returned to orbit, broken only by the massive shadow of the dragon circling above Earth. And yet the greatest fear had only just begun, because now the galaxy knew the truth. The red dragon was awake. It was not a beast, it was not a myth. It was humanity's final weapon, alive, aware, and ready to burn entire civilizations if they dared to threaten Earth again. The news of the red dragon's awakening spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Empires that had once mocked the old stories now trembled in fear, but pride and arrogance drove them forward, for the Call Empire would not accept defeat. They summoned their full armada, a fleet larger than anything Earth had faced in centuries. Thousands of warships armed with the deadliest weapons known, they swore that this time the dragon would fall, that no single weapon could stand against the unity of their strength. But the dragon did not hide. It rose into the black sky of space, wings glowing brighter than suns, its body vast enough to blot out the stars. The AI commander inside spoke calmly through the silence, warning the invaders to turn back. But they laughed at the idea that an ancient weapon could defeat them all. And so the war began. The first wave of alien ships opened fire, beams of antimatter, storms of missiles, energy blasts strong enough to crack planets. The void itself shook under the assault, but the dragon moved like fire in the wind, weaving through the storm with impossible speed. Its scales burned but never broke, and then it answered. Its mouth opened and unleashed a torrent of pure fusion flame. The blast ripped through the front line of ships. Dozens of cruisers turned to ash in seconds. Panic spread through the fleet, but the commanders shouted for more fire, and the dragon only grew more fierce. Its wings spread wide, and each strike of their plasma edges tore through entire formations. Ships split apart as though cut by blades of light. Its tail swept once and crushed a dreadnought into fragments. Its roar thundered across every comm channel, making even the bravest soldier shiver. The fury of the dragon was not only its power but its will. It fought with purpose, every movement perfect, every strike lethal. The aliens realized too late this was no mindless beast. This was a commander of war who had fought 1,000 battles. The AI guiding the dragon thought with human cunning and human rage. As the battle raged, the sky became a storm of fire. Wreckage of alien ships burned across orbit. Explosions lit the night side of Earth like endless lightning. Yet still the armada pressed on, thousands of ships against one. But the dragon was more than one. It was a force of nature. It breathed fire that could melt moons. Its wings created shockwaves that shattered fleets. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. The Call generals tried to reorganize. They launched their superweapons, massive cannons that fired cores of collapsing stars. But the dragon absorbed the energy into its body. Its scales glowed hotter, and it turned the stolen power back upon them. The superweapons that were meant to destroy it became their own doom. The fleet broke, discipline collapsed, commanders screamed for retreat. But there was no escape. The dragon was faster than their fastest ships. It moved like thought, appearing where escape routes opened. Cutting down every survivor, the galaxy watched in terror. Transmissions carried images of the burning fleets to every corner of space. Empires realized what they faced. A single weapon strong enough to destroy armadas. A guardian of humanity that could not be stopped. In that moment the truth became clear. Humanity had never been weak. It had never been helpless. It had only been waiting for the day when its greatest creation would rise again. As the last Call warship fell in flames, the dragon hovered above Earth, its body shining like a second sun, and the commander's voice spoke once more across the stars. Let this be your warning. Earth is not dead. Humanity is not gone. If you come again we will burn the stars. Silence followed, broken only by the crackle of wreckage falling into the oceans. The Call Empire had been shattered in a single battle, their pride crushed, their fleets erased. And across the galaxy the message spread. The dragon was awake, and its fury was endless. When the smoke of battle cleared and the wreckage of the Call fleet drifted like broken bones across the sky, the galaxy expected silence. They thought the dragon would return to its sleep beneath the oceans of Earth. But what came next shook the stars even more than its fury. For as the dragon circled the planet with wings burning brighter than suns, signals began to rise, not from ruins, not from empty cities, but from hidden colonies long thought destroyed, faint at first, then stronger. Voices in the void, human voices, calling to one another after centuries of silence. The empires that watched froze in disbelief. They had believed humanity extinct. They had built their power on the idea that mankind was gone forever. Yet now transmissions filled the channels, old codes, ancient languages, familiar voices. Humanity had survived. They had never been gone. They had hidden themselves across forgotten corners of space, sleeping, rebuilding, waiting for the day when the dragon would wake. And now that day had come. Fleets rose from dark hangars buried under mountains. Ships emerged from asteroids hollowed out as secret bases. Old colonies hidden under the crusts of dead moons lit up with power for the first time in centuries. And across the stars the truth spread. Mankind had been patient. Mankind had been watching. And mankind had returned. The AI commander within the dragon spoke once more. His voice not only to the enemies but to his own people, brothers and sisters. The time has come. Rise again. And they answered, from every hidden world, from every forgotten outpost, Voices of humanity shouted in unison, "We are here." The empires trembled, for now the nightmare was no longer only the dragon. It was the will of a species that had survived the impossible. Humans appeared in warships old and scarred but still deadly. Some were new, built in secret with technologies stolen and perfected in hiding. They rallied around the dragon like children, gathering around their guardian, and with their return came hope. The galaxy remembered why humanity had been feared, not for their size or strength but for their refusal to die, for their endless ability to adapt, and now they had adapted to silence, to patience, to waiting for the perfect moment. While empires warred against each other and grew arrogant, humanity sharpened its claws in the dark. Now those claws were bared. The Call Empire lay broken. Their enemies rejoiced in secret, but none dared move, because they had all seen what happened when the dragon unleashed its fury. If humans had returned with such a guardian, then no world was safe from their reach. The hidden colonies declared themselves united once more, not as scattered survivors but as a reborn civilization. Their fleets formed ranks beside the dragon, and across the channels their message was simple: humanity is not gone, humanity stands. Humanity fights. The empires listened in silence. Old rulers who had once sworn humans were weak now felt the weight of centuries of lies crumble. Their people asked them questions they could not answer. If mankind could survive extinction, what else could it endure? The dragon roared again, its fire lighting the void, and the sound was not only fury this time but triumph. It was the roar of a species returning to claim its place among the stars. And as its wings spread wide above Earth, the galaxy understood a terrible truth. The age of human silence was over, and the age of human return had begun. The galaxy thought the worst was over when the Red Dragon destroyed the Call Armada and humanity revealed its survival. But in truth the nightmare was only beginning, for the dragon did not return to its sleep. Instead it remained in orbit above Earth like a burning guardian, its eyes glowing like twin stars, and the AI commander inside spoke to the whole galaxy. His voice carried across every channel, strong and unyielding. "Hear me and understand. Humanity is not gone, we have returned, but this weapon you fear is not a beast, it is not a myth, it is only one." The word sent terror through every empire. Only one. The rulers whispered in panic. What did he mean? The dragon roared and the commander continued. "Long ago when our people faced extinction we built many guardians, not one, not two, but 7, each greater than the last, each made for a purpose. The Red Dragon was fire, the fury of mankind, but others were built with different powers." The galaxy froze. Their leaders felt their blood turn cold, for if one dragon could shatter armadas, what could 7 do? The commander's voice grew quiet but sharper than blades. "Do not think we seek conquest, do not think we rise for war. Humanity desires peace. But if ever again you come for us, if ever again you try to erase us, know this: the dragons will awaken, all of them, and the stars will burn." His words echoed like thunder, and then silence fell. The Red Dragon circled the planet slowly, its shadow falling across the wreckage of alien fleets, and in that silence the truth grew heavier than any weapon. Humanity had not only survived, it had prepared. It had hidden its strength where no empire could reach, and it had waited for the day when the galaxy would grow careless. Now that day had come. The empires scrambled in fear. Some ordered spies to search for the other dragons, some argued it was a bluff, that there was only one. But deep inside they all knew the humans were not liars. They had seen the impossible. They had watched an entire fleet destroyed by a single guardian, and they understood that if even one more existed their rule was in danger. Across human colonies there was no fear, only resolve, for their people had lived in silence too long. Now they were awake, their fleets were rebuilding, their voices filled the void once more, and the dragon was not a monster to them, it was a promise, a shield, a reminder that no matter how strong the galaxy became, humanity would never kneel. The commander looked upon his people. Though centuries had passed and his body was long gone, his spirit lived inside the machine, his oath unbroken. He whispered to them words only humans could hear. "The first is risen, the fire is awake, and soon the others will follow." His words spread hope through every colony, and fear through every empire. The stars had changed forever, the age of silence was gone, and the age of dragons had begun. Somewhere in the distant void, hidden under forgotten worlds, sealed within dead suns, the other guardians waited, sleeping like mountains of steel and fire, their eyes closed but ready to open, their power buried but ready to rise. And the galaxy now lived with a question that would never leave: when the Red Dragon wakes, how long until the others join it? And if 7 guardians truly exist, who will survive when humanity decides to show the full strength of its final weapons?